I'm going to call the October 9th, 2025 Charter Revision Commission meeting to order. If we could all rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. So like we always do, we start our meetings with public audience. I know Susan was here, so I don't know if she wants to speak.
I didn't come here to speak.
You didn't come here to speak
To
this evening? Okay.
Listen and learn.
Can we just move to the minutes and then come back to that?
Yeah, we can do that because I want to make sure, since Susan Messina was here, if she wants to speak, I want to give her the opportunity. So we'll move to item number 3, approve the September 24th, 2025 minutes. Does anybody have any changes or comments or corrections that they wanted to make or propose to make on this?
No.
No. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Susan, we are going back to public audience in case you wanted to speak.
Oh, thank you, sorry, I was in the
No,
restroom.
I know, that's okay, we didn't want to miss you. Did you want to speak during public audience?
I did you already ask Ellen?
Yes,
Yes.
and she didn't want to say
Oh,
anything.
okay.
Just say.
Yeah, so I was coming.
So just state your name and your address, just for the record,
Yes,
please.
Susan Messino, 41 Madison Lane. So I sent comments, I assume you received them in response to I saw the last meeting where you had some questions about open space. And I looked at the minutes for tonight's meeting, and so I just wanted to make a couple of comments. One was, in the minutes it said that making party specificity might make it political, but the reason why we wanted to have it a D, a U, and an R was to make it non-political. So that was actually the intent, to avoid having a political bent to the unaffiliated members. The other thing is, I don't know if the comments that I sent addressed the questions that you had, because we just had our open space meeting yesterday, and I don't know if you guys sent a letter asking for clarification of things of open space, but we never received anything. So wasn't responding to anything, I was just sending that as an individual. So I don't know if we were supposed to respond to anything specific. It sounded like that when I watched the meeting, so I don't know.
We had some questions, I'll let you finish.
Okay, the other thing is, I guess from the minutes, we didn't request this, but it seems that you're taking out the rules, making rules of procedure from our description and maybe putting that in a general spot in the charter. Or maybe you're not doing that at all because you're saying that committees and commissions can make their own rules of procedure. But I would really recommend, there's been so many issues that there's no time to go into for 3 minutes. But every single good government thing that you can put in the charter, please don't assume that it's happening. And that is your most important job, really, writ large right now. I've been paying such close attention in town because of other boards and policy things I've been on for a number of years. I've seen very specific patterns of behavior happening, and I thought that our town was sort of an oasis from that, and it's not. And so that's why I've been at so many meetings trying to politely explain what's going on. And it's very difficult to explain it in 3 or 5 minutes. If I write long documents, people will say, oh, that's too much to read. I'm really at a loss as a citizen to impress upon the town the pattern that we're headed down, which is going to be a systematic hemorrhaging of the public trust. And I can go into detail, but not in 3 minutes. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And we may ask you questions when we get to
Right, good, yeah, because I have a few
the
questions.
section of open space, if that's okay. I don't know if you've got a schedule, if you've got to be somewhere else.
I do, but I have a few minutes, so yeah, that's okay, thank you.
Okay, so, there's no one else in the public audience, so we can move on. We already approved the minutes. Could I propose that we amend the agenda and, in light of the fact that Susan is here for open space, that we move up the
Move that up.
conversation
On
up,
open
so,
Okay,
because the rest of our meeting is just going to be reviewing our draft, and I don't wanna, if she doesn't need to sit through that, that would be great. Cause I
I'll
wanna be
move we
respectful.
adjust the
That was-
amend the agenda.
Point of clarification, Chair, since you're reviewing the draft charter and proposed revisions, you can just talk about the open space section and then consult with Susan. So you can continue just
Okay,
going through the
Okay.
agenda and, because the draft charter, you're gonna review it, you're gonna talk about open
Right.
space. That specific section with Susan here
Is in
and then
there.
move on. So you can just continue as normal
Okay.
and proceed how you would like.
thank you, Franklin. I'm glad someone knows what they're doing, because I have no sleep. So why don't we just skip to open space, and then we can talk about the rest of the things in the charter, and I'll find that section again. So open space is in section 615. So the discussion last time, we had received comments from open space, and I know we've received public comments from Helen Peterson, from Susan, there may have been one other person that I may be forgetting, but on your.
Diane Nash.
Diane Nash, okay. I think some of the questions we had around the discussion of your recommendations from your committee, the largest one was the word stewardship, because that came up and we felt we needed to understand more about what was meant by stewardship, because in many of our minds, it meant some financial implications. And we're trying to avoid adding financial requirements in the charter, because that could be addressed in an ordinance from the Board of Selectmen, because we don't have the authority to add line items or, committees and stuff like that. So we just want to get clarification on stewardship. We discussed public audience, which we've addressed in the charter itself, so we weren't addressing that with each individual committee, because it's a right that each committee has. And there's one other thing.
Party specificity.
Due
Party specific, yeah,
Due diligence.
and the due diligence.
Yeah.
So, just so you're aware, I'm sure you are, but we, in addition to making any charter recommendation changes, we are also going to be giving recommendations to the Board of Selectmen of things that they should consider for changes or additions or deletions to the ordinances that are on record that we can't address in the code. So some of what your concerns, your committee's concerns might be more relevant in that recommendation back to the board, because we don't want to address it in the charter. But if you could clarify the stewardship piece of it first, we would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Be-
so I don't know.
Before
if
she
you-
does, may I
Yeah.
ask regarding stewardship? In your letter on page 2,
In the letter in today's packet,
in the package, yes,
not our previous letter, but today's.
you mentioned that and I'll read, Ms. Capriola said the Board of Selectmen reviewed the request from the Open Space Committee to delegate the duties for open space, stewardship, and land management to them. And I'll paraphrase, this rescinds those duties from the Conservation Commission. That was later made a motion by at the Board of Selectmen meeting by Ms. Cook on June 10th, 1999, which basically delegated advisory duties to the supervision and management of open space, including but not limited to stewardship and land management, to the Open Space Committee to rescind those responsibilities from the Conservation Commission. Okay,
2019 for the record.
2019, sorry. Okay, so if you already have those responsibilities, as outlined by the Board of Selectmen and rescinded those from conservation, is it necessary to add those into the charter? Or could that just be in the code?
And was this vote, Franklin, do we know if this vote in 2019 was added to the code?
If
No.
from this
saying no.
motion to delegate advisory duties, I am not sure.
Okay.
And Susan's saying no
I don't believe so, I was looking in the code also,
in the code.
I didn't recall seeing it, but
I think it just
I
says.
didn't bring that with me tonight. So, again, since 2019, have you run into problems with respect to this and stewardship? Have there been pushbacks? I'm just trying to understand whether that needs to be in the charter or whether it can be just a modification in the code to reflect this.
Well, I think it could be a modification in the code, but I think it should be reflected somewhere. And I wanna first preface it that this is not spending money or anything like that. And I tried to clarify in my email from October 2nd that it is basically talking about what are our best practice policies. We are actually trying to save money and save effort on behalf of the town. So what we've done is kind of a systematic look at what are the different types of land we have and what's the best way to take care of them. And we haven't been asking for any money for that. We've been saving money because we've been reducing mowing, doing it at the right time of year, not engaging in chronic, ongoing stuff that we don't need to do, putting in farmer-friendly, low bureaucratic, low red tape contracts for farmers. So that's what we've been doing in terms of, that's what I consider stewardship, is we've been looking at other towns, looking at the science and trying to bring the best of whatever to each kind of category for Simsbury. So maybe it could be in the code, but I do think it should be somewhere, and Conservation Commission is really playing much more of kind of a regulatory role for inland wetlands and waterways, and open space. If we're not acquiring land, what we really need to be doing is taking care of what we have.
Okay,
So
and
that was the intent.
this impacts open space, not town-owned land, correct?
So.
Because there is a difference.
So that is something that you could discuss, because it would really be undeveloped town-owned land could all sort of be advised by open space. Let's say we had a piece of town-owned land that had a school on it, but also had a vernal pool or a forest or something special. There should be a way to get advice on taking care of that. That would be my intent, to say that it applies maybe to pieces of town-owned land that aren't open space. That land isn't open space and in the open space category, for which I think I sent you a description of that.
But you could still do that even without being asked, correct?
No. No, we're only advisory, and the Board of Selectmen asks us to do
So
something.
an example of that might be Sweetheart Pond
Okay,
at Simsbury High School, which
exactly.
back in our day was actually a pond,
Yeah, that's right.
okay? Which now I know there's an Eagle project someone is doing to try to restore that
Yeah,
pond. If that's not the right word, I apologize, to bring that back.
exactly.
But that's on town-owned property, but
That's
it's not deemed open space,
Right,
but it is a natural resource.
that's right.
So that's an example of something that you
Yes.
would not have an advisory role.
Unless we were asked.
Unless you were asked,
Right, exactly.
okay. Because open space, not all open space is created equal, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I mean, that's the
Correct.
issue,
That's
is the
the issue,
definition
correct.
of what open space is, because we have open space that's owned by the town,
That's right.
land that was given to the town when developers develop subdivisions, and we have open space that we've purchased that is protected. The land trust owns open space. That the town doesn't have a role in, because the land trust owns it, has been
Right.
either deeded it or whatever. So there's a lot of different roles for open space.
Right.
So I think that's where it gets confusing, is what you're a steward over, because
Well,
if not everybody's in agreement with what open space means, like what the definition of open space is, because open space isn't just
Space.
open space, it's not just a grassy area, it's, there's
Right.
different categories of open space.
Right. So,
There's also the state-owned land, which is not owned by the town,
Which we have
which is
no,
open.
which is open, the state parks.
Right, but it's not purview to us.
Well, deep, I would assume deep takes care of that, right?
Someone
that's
takes
under
care of it.
Deep's
Yeah, that's under
responsibility.
deeps.
DEP.
DEP, yeah. So the only category that is officially town open space is category 3, and I think I sent you a detailed document about that. The other categories you've just mentioned are part of the other 6 categories. There's a total of 7 categories. So, I mean, the land doesn't, I mean, I think open space should be available to advise on any kind of property if the town wanted advice on Sweetheart Pond or whatever. I'm not saying we're responsible for the stewardship or anything like that. If you wanna say town-owned open space, that's fine with me. But the sentence before, and I don't have the language in front of me, it basically says that it's just an advisory role.
Yeah, it says to assist and advise the board of selectmen in identifying and evaluating land deemed suitable for acquisition and preservation, and in administering the fund for land acquisition and preservation.
Right.
I mean, if we were to make a change to this, do we need to specify that it's town-owned open space? Because open space, as we're talking about this, just has so many different.
That's where details belong in the code.
That's why I'm thinking the details belong in the code of what is the definition of open space. Because the town has to agree on what categories I would assume they do, what they think that they need to be managing, right? And
So-
advising about, getting advice on.
So the way this currently reads to me is that any space that's open, they have the ability to advise on.
Without being asked,
Um,
or do they have to be asked?
to advise and assist the board in identifying, evaluating, I think they'll need to be asked, because if they're going to assist and advise the board of selectmen, then the board of selectmen has to ask them. That's how it reads.
Yeah, because they're not asking for unsolicited.
They're not asking for unsolicited.
But the first is always on the committee, right?
Right,
Mhm.
that's right, so you have someone who's already on the committee. I like the idea of an expansive definition of open space just the way it is, because if we try to close it in the charter, then we close it. And they can make their definitions accordingly depending on what they're looking at.
So would we be better off as a recommendation to the board, when this goes back to the board, referring to Susan's document, explaining what open space definitions are of all the different categories, that they include that, and consider that for consideration in the code?
In the code, yes, in the code, yeah, but in the charter.
Because if those definitions change in the future or categories are added, they can amend the code
They
much
can amend the code.
easier than they can amend the charter, right? Because I mean,
not that I don't read into these comments one way or another, but I would struggle, this board, it seems like that's not really in our lane
Right,
of what
yeah.
of what is and isn't
Yeah,
open space.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
think
was
we
struggling,
should-
trying to define that
I
here,
think it's keep
yeah.
it more open-ended, so
Yeah,
things can be, a living document is the
Yeah.
code, that's what needs to be.
yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. I
let's
agree with
just
that.
say that the course of the river changes and then there is a special open space that needs a new, I mean, it
never know.
happens, right?
Yeah.
The river course changes and then you have to, like, suddenly have to clean something in desert land,
Yeah.
so.
so are we comfortable?
Just point of
Make-
information to bring Bob up to speed.
Hi,
Just
Bob.
the main question that I just heard was that the language in the charter that open space assists and advises the Board of Selectmen, does open space have to be asked by the Board of Selectmen to assist and advise, or can they just assist and advise unsolicited?
I suppose they would have to be asked, but nothing would keep them from sending their,
That's the thing, yeah, it looks like they have to be asked, but then how do you do any open space work without asking the open space committee what they think?
I mean, I'll just say, I mean, we're just trying to provide information about these precious things. The Board of Selectmen can do what they want with that information. We have zero power to do anything except for provide information. So that's it, basically.
I apologize, I got an event update that sent me to the old courtroom at Eno Memorial Hall.
They were waiting for you for the end of the fashion show that happened today.
And that's where I went.
You mean with all the
No,
construction
I think
trucks and
that's for
everything
next,
else
I
going
think
on right
that's
now?
next.
Point of information, that's for November.
Yeah.
What I just learned.
Your November 3rd meeting, I had to move it around because we're running out of availability, and I had to squeeze us into the Eno Memorial Hall, and I made that calendar change for November 3rd today, just so everyone's aware. Sorry, Bob.
Don't show up here in November.
It's an
Kind of
easy
best
enough
of
mistake,
everyone.
Bob.
Yeah, we've all done it.
Well, yeah, we've all done it.
It was a, what do they call it, moment, I guess. I don't wanna say scene.
The rookie moment, that's what it is.
Susan, I think in a lot of ways, we're trying to assist what you and the Open Space Committee wanna do. It's just a question of where it belongs.
Yeah.
And in some of these other discussions that we've had, we've said, wait a minute, that really belongs in the code.
Yeah.
And that's where they should be updated, and have people assist with updating the code who know what they're talking about. And have lived and gone through it. So I think that's why there's some hesitancy here to really touch this too much. Because if we touch it too much, it could also restrict what you want to do in a way that you wouldn't be happy with. So that's why I think it's a lot of it's back and forth asking some of this.
Well, and regarding your point about public audience and rules and procedures, we are not addressing public audience at each individual committee level. It's addressed in the charter. We also can't mandate that they have it on a quarterly basis or every month or at every meeting, because there are some, especially our land use boards, that can't have them because of public hearings or pending applications. So there's legal reasons why some of them can't do it at certain times, so we don't wanna mandate when they can do it. The encouragement is that they have them at some point. Now, each chair and the boards determine what their rules and procedures are, and what they choose to do with that information or not is not, yes, we should have public audience, but if they don't do it, we don't have a mechanism in the charter to mandate that. It's just legally, the charter allows them to have it, because there were some boards and commissions that were under the impression that they couldn't do it. But it's in here as an overarching, you can do it. So they just need to read the charter, is what it comes down to, right?
Right, they may have it.
They may have it.
Yeah, they may have it. And it's generally assumed that if you're doing public work, that public audience is part of the conversation. I mean,
You'd hope.
it's-
But can we, I'm very sensitive to this issue. I really wanna get there. Can we, and I get the legalities, but can we require it, but say there's an exception for, and I'd look to you guys for the wording here, but when a land use board,
Right.
Certain
again,
application, whatever the,
something like that, to exempt those situations, I just,
Because we've talked about this
leaving
a
it up to the
lot.
board is kind of, to each individual board, it's kind of what's going on right now, right? So
Right.
strongly encouraging.
What if we say the default is public audience unless specified otherwise?
You could put in something somewhere that said unless otherwise prohibited by law,
Yeah.
comma,
Yes,
local boards and commissions shall have public audience on a schedule as determined by the board or something.
Yeah.
That's a nice,
That's
I like that, I like.
And then the law would kick in that would say that
What
land use
section is
boards with
that?
pending applications can't have the public audience on items that touch upon those applications. I mean, you can write something into the charter that says boards and commissions, unless otherwise prohibited,
Must or may?
well, may is
No, I'm
the way
going
it is
shall,
now.
I'm looking for the shall.
Shall.
May is kind of what they have now.
I'm looking for shall,
Yeah,
not may.
there's
Yeah.
no, for those boards and commissions for which, that are created in the charter,
Mhm.
you can mandate that they have some form of public audience.
Now, if it was a board or a commission that was established by ordinance from the Board of Selectmen, they would have to specify, like if there's like our commission, for example, is a temporary commission, right? We didn't have to have, I mean, we have to have public audience, but there was not a mandate to have public audience. So,
I think you could write, if it's in the charter, and if it's written properly, it would trump anything that was in an ordinance.
okay,
So even if it's a temporary commission, board, committee or whatever.
I just wanna make sure that temporary
Whatever you
commissions
wanna
also have
make
the
it.
same requirement.
What you can't override is state land use law.
Right.
But that's a fairly narrow carve out. Because again, if the zoning commission has public audience and someone wants to go before them and say, I really think you ought to revise the regulations in this way or that way, that's allowable. They
Right,
say,
because that's not
that's not a pending application.
Right.
But if they say, this is the worst site plan I've ever seen in my life, that's not allowable because site plans generally don't require public.
Right, and that's where I was trying to go
Yeah.
with zoning and planning, where the public would have the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to say something in an issue that wasn't an application.
That's allowable.
yeah.
For sure.
That sounds good. Can I just get back to one thing, and that's regarding the assistant advise the Board of Selectmen. Is there a way to come up with a language that would allow them to proactively give their opinion on a piece of land where if they want to go through all the work and do all the due diligence and write up a report and send it to the Board of Selectmen, why can't they do that?
Yes.
And then the Board of Selectmen could say, well, we want it, or the Conservation Commission can say, we're not gonna pay attention to it. But if you go through all the work, it's up to you to do all the work,
Yes.
and then it's just, here it is.
You could put language in the charter that required the Board of Selectmen prior to any acquisition or disposition of any parcel of land to receive a report from the Open Space Committee. Just like acquisition and disposition.
Would that obligate open space to have to create something each time?
Yes.
Okay.
Or like the way the
Or
general
not
statutes is
respond.
written, unless if they don't receive a report within 35 days, it's deemed.
I wasn't trying to make it quite that restrictive. It was more like if they see something and they want to, even though they haven't been asked, to say, hey, wait a minute, this is what we think you should consider, then they can proactively do that.
Well, they can do that now.
I was gonna say,
They
they're
can
not
do it now.
prohibited from doing it now.
No,
I thought you said they had to be asked by the Board of Selectmen.
Or is it
First.
just
I don't think it's
inferred?
has to,
Is
I
it
think it's just,
inferred?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just, that's probably how it goes, but it certainly doesn't require that they have to be asked first, I don't think. It just says assisted advice, you can give someone advice they didn't ask for. But, like,
Probably goes on.
yeah,
That's true.
They may not take
If they
it,
had to be
but.
asked, wouldn't it be something like, there would be some wording, that said like, as requested or something, there with
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
right?
As directed.
Yeah, or
Right.
directed something, yeah.
And point of information,
It
just
pretty much says that already.
So I wanna go back to,
Yeah.
I wanna finish this conversation and go back to the comment regarding public audience, because we did make that change, it's on the red line.
yes, just wanted to say,
Yes.
you have a proposed
We
revision.
have a proposed
and all we
revision
need-
that uses the word shall.
Exactly, And I would call the commission's attention to section 601.
601D was an addition where all appointed boards and commissions as part of their procedure shall allow for public audience at all regular meetings.
But then we have to
So
put,
We have to,
You
yeah,
can put
carve
elected,
out.
Bob and I can clean it up, but
Yeah.
all elected and appointed boards and commissions as part of the rules, as part of those procedures,
Yes.
unless prohibited by law,
Yes.
shall allow
Yeah.
for public.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Can we just go back to this assistant advice? Now, here's the question. If there's ambiguity as to whether or not they need to be asked versus, they can do this by themselves, and we are leaning or want them to have that proactive nature, don't you think we should put that in there? If that's what we believe is a better way to do it, because if there's ambiguity, let's just say 6.5 years from now, there's some completely different group of people that may read this to say, you don't have the ability to do any of this because we didn't ask you. Do I look confused, Ron?
Just trying to follow, sorry.
Um,
I haven't dissected this well enough to.
Well, the issue is whether you put it in the charter or you put it in the ordinance. And if you put it in the charter, as you all know, it's very hard to change it, modify it, add to it. The ordinance is just a simple amendment of the ordinance.
So how do we as a group feel about it? Do you think it should be proactive? Do you think we want to give them that ability to be proactive? If that's the case, we can put it in the charter.
I think it's already in there.
Yeah, kind of jacking that. I think
I
they can
think-
do it now.
I think they can do it now.
Mhm. You can advise, and then one of the members is the first selectman.
Right.
I agree.
I mean, I would rather make the recommendation to the board when we submit this report that they revise the code to be more specific about what open space is.
Yep.
Based on the categories that Susan and her committee have provided.
Mm.
Because I
Yeah.
think that provides some more clarity on what parcels they're advising on.
Yeah, that's not a charter thing.
It's not a charter
Not-
thing,
not-
so I'd rather make that recommendation. So do we wanna add the word stewardship anywhere as recommended by their committee? And
If we add it, we have to define it. It's
Was
not-
it defined in 2019 when it went to the Board of Selectmen? I mean,
Susan shaking her head,
Yeah, I think
But it was,
it says something in there, and I tried to give more detail about
no,
what
the,
it means, but I think I don't have it in front of me, but
That's and the only reason I think we're stuck on that word, because I think it means something to different people,
Yeah, it
depends
means
on your
different
audience.
things, yeah.
Right.
For an open space committee, they know what
Yeah.
that means, but for us that aren't in that realm,
Yeah.
it means something very different.
Yeah.
That's why we're a little,
No, I'm okay putting stewardship in there as long as there's clarity as to what it is. Because we shouldn't be putting ambiguous words.
it
To
doesn't,
the
it
best of our
falls under
ability.
a lot of the other ones just say all the powers and duties not inconsistent with the charter that may be conferred or imposed by the Board of Selectmen. And it seems like each one has kind of an umbrella term that captures that and other duties that are prescribed by the Board of Selectmen outside of the charter. I guess it's a question of whether it's recognized from time or not.
Yeah, that's the question.
Madam Chair, Ms. Messina, Dr. Messina.
I was just gonna say, like, the Conservation Commission is the default commission for stewardship, and that may be just defined in state statute, but it can be assigned to a different committee or commission, which is how it got put on open space in 2019. So I think you can unravel that definition if you go to like the state
Source, yeah.
thing related to the Conservation Commission. So there's a way to kind of back into what that means as a definition. I just provided like what we've been doing and not doing
no,
in
that's
town.
Is there a definition of stewardship anywhere in can we look that up and maybe we can have that be the definition saying as defined by
state
state
statute,
CSA
Well, there
or
wouldn't be
whatever.
one in state statute.
What?
statute.
Yeah,
There's
I don't think they'll have something
many
like that.
definitions,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's good definitions of land stewardship in a bunch of different authoritative.
Specifically open space stewardship or land stewardship.
Yeah,
So maybe they can give us a few definitions to mull over so that we can decide which one we want.
Maybe we should think of a different word.
Mm.
It seems like it's just creating confusion.
No, I mean, it's a perfectly valid word,
Yeah.
it just needs to have a definition to it, so there's no
Yeah.
ambiguity. It's a good word.
So
It's-
according to AI,
Let's go.
Oh dear.
land open space stewardship is the responsible management and care of natural undeveloped land to ensure its long-term health and availability for future generations.
Okay, that's even more ambiguous,
I
like
was
what
gonna
is that
say,
supposed
yeah.
to be?
That's like really general.
The land trust, we use stewardship, I think I may have mentioned this before in our past meeting. We have stewardship in our bylaws. And basically, it's not well defined, but what it means is we have stewards who go out on the trails, make sure that there aren't trees that are on the paths, that abutting neighbors haven't built fences or aren't dumping garbage. And if we see invasive species that are starting to come into
Oh,
that
gosh,
pieces of land,
Yeah.
how to get rid of it. That's basically what stewardship means for the Simsbury Land Trust.
But see, that's stewardship, like that example is, you've been given, the land trust has been given
Or purchased.
or purchased land that they are the stewards of. So open space is different because open space is owned by different people. So open space is, it could be a farm, it could be a town of Simsbury owned property, it could be land that was deeded to the town, like there's all these different definitions of open space. Like when you have when you are a steward of something, you've been given something to be responsible for something, right? So and I know I'm getting literal on this, but is the open space committee,
The
Do they-
responsible party.
are they the responsible party?
How can they be? They don't have any authority.
Right, because stewardship is a big word to me, like. I don't-
Well, I feel like it's paired with the word advise, advise and assist. So stewardship is sort of a big umbrella, like preventing harm or promoting good things.
But you already have it. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you
Yeah.
already have it based upon the June 10th, 2019 motion that was passed by the board.
Correct.
So maybe this needs to be reflected in the code.
Mhm.
And sort of takes us off the hook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's
Because
fine. I was just trying to align things with what's
Yeah.
actually going on and make sure that it's someplace.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the definitions and each definition is just as ambiguous.
I know,
Yes.
yeah, that's,
Yes.
and I think we wanna get the charter less ambiguous where we can.
Yeah.
So
Well,
can we
this
make,
is going to have to go into the code.
we're
Yeah.
gonna make a note that our recommendation for the Board of Selectmen to consider for a code thing is the stewardship piece of it, the definitions of open space, the different categories of open space, because they need to define it better.
I have that now.
Okay. So the other item was the parties. Were for the 3 other members to be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. We don't have party affiliations in many of,
Just the Board of Ethics.
just the board, right, because that's required.
Police
And police
commission.
commission.
Police commission. Everybody else is just appointed members, so that's why we didn't wanna, I think that was part of our discussion, is why specify it in one and not the others, but I think we'd have to
And you
like,
currently have one of each.
and you have
Yeah,
one of
we
each.
currently,
already.
so that was just another way of aligning with what we've been doing, which
Yeah.
seemed like a good policy, but if you don't wanna put it in the charter, that's fine.
It's similar to the historic district, I feel like we discussed.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Charter was going in for a historic district that sort of exists in the code.
Yeah.
What is the danger if we don't put it in there?
I don't think there is.
What?
I don't think there is.
It just remains ambiguous with the Board of
Well, I
Selectmen.
mean, potentially down the road if
You could have
somebody
all
doesn't,
one party.
yeah,
But that's every board that's not specifically
Right.
spelled out anyway,
Right.
so.
That's the danger of not specifying it for everybody.
Yeah. No, I agree, that's what I'm saying.
What about a minority scenario?
It would still apply, right, because we have the chairs and the first selectman. and-
Yeah.
Majority representation statute would apply. It does
Okay.
apply.
It does apply? Okay.
Okay.
So they can't have a clean sweep of only one.
No, there's a table in the statute that says you can't have, if it's a 7-member committee, you can't have more than X number from one party.
Okay.
I don't remember if that's 3 or 4, but it's,
Does that mean that right now, if all 4 of those chairs are D, so all 3 of the members appointed have to not be D,
Okay.
or currently? Okay.
Right, and so if we put in, you have to then have a D and an R, then you would actually potentially not,
Well, that's interesting,
Can't
because if,
avoid
then you
all
can't,
3.
because then it goes
Only
against
point two
the state mandate that you can't do that, so.
well, because if you look at the makeup now, it's a D, I think a D,
is 5.
an R,
Oh,
and
an R.
then you've got a D, R, and a U, so.
So-
Just based on the makeup right today,
but it does say, or their designates.
or their designees.
Good.
So they could make up that imbalance with their designee versus the chair.
Yeah.
The only other change we were making to that particular section is we were eliminating the committee shall establish rules of procedure for the conduct of business, because we have that in
Section 6.
the charter for
Oh,
everybody. And we didn't need it in your section. We really appreciate your
No, this has been
thoughtfulness
very helpful.
and all of your comments.
Before you
And
go, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
You had stated that, that if the commission is proceeding as it is now, it's gonna lose the public trust.
Yeah.
What
What
do
does
you
that
mean by that? Have we addressed that situation, or is there something underlying it?
I wasn't saying that about your committee.
She's choosing her words.
I know, it was kind of caught me a little bit, so.
Yeah, that really got my attention.
You wanna leave it unsaid, Susan?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a very diplomatic way of stating it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know if you had a packet bomb or something.
Thank you.
So you can bring back to your committee that we will be making the recommendation that the Board of Selectmen considers those items to be included in the code. And just thank you all for a lot of very thoughtful
Yes.
comments.
Thank you very much.
And
It's been
your
very
hard
helpful.
work.
It's very, and your hard work, it's very, very
Yes.
important.
On behalf of the town as well.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So our goal today is, we're not gonna go page by page, line by line.
Why not?
Do you wanna do that?
But there will be 1 or 2 spots where I think we should at least highlight or make a comment.
Yes.
Right, so,
I do have.
so we have a couple, so we've got the red line version of the changes that we've discussed so far.
It also included,
Yep.
just for the recommendations for the BOS, how you have addressed.
I was just gonna say that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Cause I did read. Not everything, but I wanna thank you for doing on the list that we were supposed to address, what we've addressed, the updates on what we've
Yes.
addressed so far, that's very
That
helpful.
was really,
Because one of the first comments I made was, based on all of our conversations, there's not as many red marks as I thought there would be.
Yeah.
So, it's good to see that. So, we didn't make any changes to chapter 1, no changes to chapter 2. Chapter 3, we have a couple of minor changes. And chapter 2, chapter 3, just to note, based on our vote last time, it stayed the way it was with the 2-year terms. So the recommendation that we had in the previous red line version was removed and it's now back to what the charter said. It has been changed, so every time that first selectman is mentioned, it goes to first. So we don't keep saying selectmen 5,000 times in the document. And then chapter 4 has quite a few changes in addition to, a lot of it has to do with taking out a lot of selectmen words, so.
I'm totally changing.
Can I ask one question though? On 402, second paragraph, we removed the word biannual, or shouldn't that be back in there,
Where,
or not?
To my knowledge, the organization meeting will be defined as the biannual meeting of the Board of Selectmen after the election. So the word biannual will be included in the definition of organizational meeting.
That's under section 404?
That is, it would be the appendix in the glossary. We have organization.
What if we don't have a glossary?
Don't we have a glossary?
No, I don't think we need one.
oh,
Well, don't we have to have defined terms somewhere?
No.
no?
We've never had it before.
We've been talking about it all along.
Yeah.
No?
We've been discussing
We've been
defined
building it.
terms, we've been building
he's
this
been
list.
building it.
Like every meeting.
We need defined terms.
Under here, under
I still
defined
don't think
terms.
it's needed, but okay. You guys can write it.
He's writing it.
We've got
Go ahead.
organizational meeting.
It'll be the
On this-
template for the rest of the
well,
country to
before-
follow.
On this,
I'm okay if it's not.
I think where Paul may be going though on the organization though is also, if you look at 404, I think this is just, this may be an oversight. It says under the first issues, at the municipal election to be held in November 22nd, and quadrennially, quite easy for me to say,
Yeah.
quadrennially
Yeah, that
after.
needs to change,
I think that needs to go, or at least,
Biannual.
or at least,
biannual.
maybe just,
And it doesn't need to start in 2027 because it's not changing.
right.
Yeah, I think it ought to, the biannual word ought to go back in the forum.
Before we move on from that part,
Please support.
will we say organizational meeting in 402 instead of
Yes, sir,
organization
we're ready.
meeting?
And
If we're gonna refer to it in the glossary by the same?
I think it should be in the body of the,
To go back to biannual organization.
everybody knows what that means. After every election, you have an organizational meeting.
And
I think this might just be a formatting thing, but starting section 405, like the other page says Simsbury code.
Right, I had that too.
Yeah, that's because
That's gotta,
I downloaded it
Oh,
from
okay.
Word, from the charter and on the website. That's why.
All right.
For the final charter, it will not.
the
figured someone
footnotes,
else
you mean,
must have
okay.
seen it.
Yeah.
And then from a drafting perspective, each of these paragraphs should have some section. So it's easier to identify.
You get 7 paragraphs in one section. it's a
Yeah,
little
if you have
difficult.
7 paragraphs in one section, it's very difficult to identify.
Okay, so
So
we did through a lot
We
out
need
there,
a
didn't we?
404.
back to Jeff's point on 404, we have to, the first sentence has to be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the tie-in with the.
That first sentence doesn't even need to be
The
there
whole
anymore.
thing,
In
yeah.
section
Yeah,
404,
because
oh,
Am I correct that we
Right
don't
here.
even need the first sentence?
Quadrennial, it's no longer
At the
quadrennial.
municipal.
biannual.
But do we even need that sentence at all?
Yeah, we need to tell them when they're being voted, when we're electing them.
Or we're electing them,
Why- Nothing's changed.
nothing,
Nothing
Nothing
has
changed.
changed. We did have it change before, but now nothing
Right.
is changing.
I think we added that because
When-
we're staggering the
because we
terms
need
and
the
things are
start
gonna be,
date.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't.
so you're saying that whole line can come out?
At the municipal election to be held in
Yeah.
November, okay.
That was just to start the.
Okay.
Staggering, yeah.
Staggering,
Yep.
but we're not staggering.
So
Right.
you can just say.
Removed.
It's gone.
We're shortening this thing up every day. Be a lot shorter if we didn't have a glossary.
I'll second that motion, Paul.
No,
That's a motion on the floor.
I like it.
So I don't even know how to identify this paragraph.
Where?
403, the paragraph that starts, the Board of Selectmen is authorized in adopting, like in the middle of that page. The last line where it says the Board of Selectmen shall review the code of ordinances from time to time to determine the relevancy and efficacy of the various provisions of the code. I'm still super uncomfortable from time to time, especially after our
Yes.
last meeting, when we learned that one of the ordinances had not been revisited since the 1960s. The library board.
Yeah.
So is
Time to
time to time,
But no
What does
less
that-
than
what does that
Yo.
mean? Time to time, I mean,
till eternity.
right.
Yeah, 60 years later.
Well, I think what you should have something in here, but I also think, and I was gonna talk about that a little bit later, is many of these codes, back to your point, library 1968, that the Board of Selectmen should either do it themselves or appoint a committee similar to the Charter Revision Committee to go through the codes and review them and make changes, including changes that this committee's making. But I think they should also include people who had experience in those various boards. In other words, if you're gonna change the library board
Code.
Right.
code, have some people on there from the library.
Yeah.
If you're gonna change, open space, have somebody from open space.
Yes.
So that they know what they're doing. Now, I don't know whether you wanna do that in here or just make that a recommendation, but
I'm not comfortable with from time to time, because it's very evident based on 1969. The time, or 68, time to time was,
Not a good
Why
word.
wouldn't you say, if anything, just say, I mean, we gotta review the charter within 7 years, why don't you just say the same for ordinances?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems logical to me.
From time to time, but no less than
5 years.
2 years.
No, no, that's.
That's a lot of work.
Two's a lot, I think.
Every
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's-
thought five to.
Five.
five's okay. They have to review it on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
From time, but no less than every 4 years.
Because
so
they
it'd
could
be
do
the
it every
Board of
year.
Selectmen or a designated committee?
Well, they can decide how they wanna do it, but they need to
They can?
review it, because
Okay.
they can make an ordinance, that they can do a temporary commission.
Yeah, and then that would be the ordinance to,
Very good.
thank you.
So what was that?
But no less than every 4 years.
Oh, okay, there was no talk about making a committee or anything, right?
No,
No, because they can do that.
They can do
Yes,
it.
they can do that
They
every
can do
time.
that anytime,
So we're
but
doing every 4 or 5?
I think 4 years is good, because
Before
things
we're done,
change.
kind of Terms and stuff.
it's, yeah, it's also if you have a whole new board of
Just did it
selectmen,
in
they,
the charter revision time period, I mean, because it's a lot of work to go through everything.
Yeah, I like it being, in sync with charter revision.
But they could do it at their own
Yeah, they can do
discretion, they don't
whenever
have to
they
do a
want.
formal.
Right, on their own.
They don't have to do every ordinance.
they could do it every week if they
They could
wanted
have
to.
an ordinance review subcommittee that would
That will be
regularly,
will happen the month before the charter revision starts, and like,
and not
gotta
every,
get it done.
We're not volunteering.
not every ordinance needs review. I mean, some of
They
them.
could also review and say the library
Chris is
ones.
going to chair that.
We're done.
I'm just not good with time to time, so
No, I agree.
Yep.
just add some time frame. Because that was a little eye-opening last time. That ordinance was almost as, I'm older than that ordinance by only a few years. So anybody have any other comments in section 400, or section 4, I mean, or whatever?
I know it's really, really minor, section 405, we're crossing off the 4,
I
Chair.
was just gonna say that, yeah.
Public hearing and public ordinances,
Oh.
It's
not
405.
section 4054.
Yeah.
I know minor, but
No, no.
I'm sure we're gonna have to go through like final version.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, what was the
Section
change?
405,
Yep.
There's an extra
there's
4
an
there.
extra 4 there. I think it used to be 404, we crossed it out.
Oh, it's crossed out, but it must be that the
Oh, the four.
the line in
The
the.
line that goes through
Yeah,
the
because
4.
like, the reason the 5 shows is because the 4 is crossed.
Okay, just a little confused, I'm like, no.
No, that's
Yeah, it
funny.
Didn't really show,
Because
okay.
we're redlining it too, so that's, I think, yeah.
Okay, so nothing else in section 400?
Just real quick, and forgive me because I don't remember, I know one of the things that we've heard from a lot of people is a more way to get information out to the general constituents. We have to do it with the newspaper, I know that, talking about 405, and doing it on our town website. I thought we had other discussions of how else to get the information, out, but maybe we were just discussing it now, there is really no way to do it.
There's no other.
Okay. I just can't remember.
I mean, I don't know how you would even include like social media, because not everybody's on that.
Right.
No,
Email.
Not everybody signs up for it.
Yeah.
It's available if you want.
It's available if you wanna sign up
now.
for it,
Yeah.
but
I think that's it, there's avenues available that people don't take advantage of, but you can't blame people then for not like literally
Yeah.
handing it to you like
Yeah.
personally
Like spoon feeding
every
them.
single
Yeah.
time,
Okay,
like
I just
you have
wanna
to
make
go look for it a little bit yourself too, so.
Force people to read the charter.
Yeah.
Because you must read it.
there's gonna be a
But
quiz.
you know how much
Yeah.
work we put into this, you must read this.
Yeah, you must.
So section, chapter 5, regarding town manager, we had quite a few changes, including some reordering and a lot added to this section. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me, but does anybody have anything that they saw that they weren't comfortable with, that we want to have more discussion around, or something that we missed?
I really like to capitalize terms.
Yeah.
Check out the glossary that
Yes,
Paul
those are
doesn't
the
want.
ones.
We good?
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 6, appointed boards and commissions. We just made a recent change just now to 601D, where we're putting elected and appointed boards and then adding that unless prohibited by law in there. So we just need to change that.
Are we going to, that culture commission,
We're leaving Culture Parks and Rec.
Mhm.
They have not had further discussion, nor have they submitted any recommendations to us from the Board of Selectmen to change that. That has not come from the board.
Nor anyone from the Culture Works and Rec Commission.
Well, no, Dave Bush was here.
yeah,
Okay.
he was here.
He was
Yeah.
here and testified, not
That's right.
testified, but spoke about that.
No, but ever since we had that initial thing.
Right, there's nothing that's come from the
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, so I would say no. I mean, if they wanted to
If
make
they
that as an
wanted to,
additional
yeah.
recommendation, they would have sent it to us. I don't think they've discussed it any further either that I'm aware of, because I watched several of their meetings, but
You know,
I could
because
be wrong.
the Culture Parks and Rec, when the gentleman was talking to us, it seems like they don't do anything with culture.
they don't.
Well, we can't suo moto take anything, but, you know, to drop culture so they can create a culture commission at a later stage. We just call it Parks and Rec.
I think a lot of this,
Comfortable with that, I mean,
That-
I'm not
I hear you,
changing that.
but that's,
That's a big.
Well, no one's
that's
asked
a
us
big,
to do
that's,
this, so.
yeah,
Right.
that's a big.
Honestly,
And
thing
I
that
think
you
people
think.
hearing that are just gonna
Yeah.
freak out and it's for
if
no
the Board of
reason.
Selectmen wanted to pull out culture from Culture Parks and Rec, they can put a
They can tell us,
subcommittee.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Which
To
I
that
think was a
commission.
recommendation we
Yeah.
made last time,
Yeah,
didn't we?
yeah, that
Yeah.
was in
And
the.
they never did it.
Yeah.
They can,
and it's
they can do
never
a
come back,
subcommittee,
yeah.
so,
It's a big group, has to be.
and there's a
Culture
financial
separate
request
and-
that comes along
It's
with
not
that.
like we don't have arts and culture going
Yeah.
on in town anyway.
But to define it
But-
separately, it's.
Well, and
Yeah,
when,
fashion show.
when they spoke about it, their concern was if you pull culture out, that's fine, but don't touch my budget,
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
right? Cause they don't use any of their money for culture, so. Anything in 6 that anybody?
We're just gonna add in D that,
Yes,
You said that.
yeah.
I'm just making sure we're all on the same page on that one.
And we're removing the Economic Development Commission,
Yep.
but that still allows the Board of Selectmen to have it by ordinance.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Just gives them the flexibility.
So chapter 7, we still have a question mark on 704. Add human resources director, clarify relation to administrative officers. I don't think we've finalized that because there was some question around that.
Hang on, where are we? 704, you said?
Yes, under town officers.
This was just something brought up in discussion and I and I wrote it at the time of the meeting a few months ago, and
Because we have a new position in town as Human Resources Director. There's also a Personnel Subcommittee from the Board of Selectmen, right?
It's still in here.
Which is still in here. So did we need to add, because we've got town clerk, this is a new position at the same kind of level as town clerk, right?
No.
No? I mean, I don't know what the responsibilities
Same
are
level.
Human Resources Director is staff to the town manager.
to the town manager.
Well,
So
it's like
they're not heading a department.
Well,
there is a Department of Human Resources that's one person and an intern.
It's part of the town manager's staff.
But there's other support personnel that exist right now that
What's
aren't defined.
Right.
Yeah.
You put it in here.
You just
then
said there's a
you have to have it.
department and it's one person.
It's
And an
technically two, the
intern.
And an
director.
intern, do we pay the intern?
Yes,
Okay.
the director, the HR generalist, and the human resources intern.
Okay.
A human
So-
resources intern?
Working just fine.
It's working excellent.
Really?
It's a massive improvement, yes, it's allowed a lot of things to be able to get done that with more people than finally having a department and separating it from management, because it used to be combined,
Okay.
management and HR.
And most importantly, by not being in the charter, it allows the town manager to put together a staff that best suits their philosophy of how
Yeah.
HR ought to be run.
So should we just
So we
take
should
this
not-
highlighted
yeah.
item out? Then we don't,
Because if you want to get rid of it, that would be,
Right.
that would be nice.
so there was no other changes in 7. Chapter 8, about finance and taxation, we just made some minor changes with capitalizing annual budget many times.
The commission has not reviewed this section,
No, not yet.
yes, has not gone in depth into this.
Right. So
Sections in chapter 8 that
Board of Finance
look
related.
out for some
Right.
technical revisions.
So 9 we have discussed. And there was nothing. 10
after
we
them, the rest of us.
10 we've discussed, and we've highlighted the years 2017.
Yeah, that's a cleanup that'll happen
Right.
at the end once everything.
And then, again, we've got the listing of defined terms.
Will we need to expand these and then approve them or evaluate what everybody
Yeah,
described?
yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta put some meat on the bones here. Same thing.
Simple and unambiguous.
So is that something we're discussing, or that you're gonna do, or?
I think you should discuss the narrative that's put together that's called the glossary. If there's some here, but obviously, you know, the,
That'll take 2 more meetings.
yeah, I mean, it's, the best way to approach it is if Franklin and I put together the glossary for your review and
That would be better,
That
yeah.
would be so much better.
to do a
And quicker.
glossary by committee is not effective.
No.
And even that Paul really wants the glossary.
But if there's something that's listed
Perhaps you
here,
misunderstood.
Just see if you're paying attention.
if there's something not here that you want in the glossary, you should let Franklin know.
And I know I'm doing exactly what I think you just asked not to do. Just like with I'm with Paul on this, to be quite honest with you, but even if we're gonna have a glossary, like, why would you define town manager? It's literally
An entire
in-
chapter.
Exactly, so I don't,
Well, that would be when we put together the glossary for your review, you would say, we don't need town manager, it's
Right, I mean, that's
self-evident from the
something-
document itself.
Same thing with town,
Yeah, with
or
town.
Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, there's a few that,
I mean, I do agree that annual
Organizational
budget and
meeting.
town budget are good to define, because
Yes.
voters don't electors
Yeah.
don't necessarily understand the difference between the two.
I think the task is to decide what terms are used in the charter that aren't commonly understood or defined in the charter itself.
Yeah. So, yeah, there
There's
are
probably not
ways,
all that many.
No.
I think there's probably
Sorry, I didn't mean.
less than a dozen.
So I can
Yeah,
remove
that's-
town and town manager,
yeah.
is that a,
Yeah, you and I will go through it and
Yeah, you go through it.
so if you would remove that, then you would have to have town somewhere in the charter. So town of Simsbury at the very top will have, here and after town. And something like that, so that's easy. So from the perspective of someone who doesn't know how to read these documents and who's not had any exposure to reading a charter, let's just say there's a first selectman who doesn't have the experience of reading these documents, you would make sure that things that are self-evident would stay in the document itself. And
Yeah, but
things
see-
that are not
But it says it
evident-
right in the
It says in the first,
incorporation.
it says in the incorporation that the hereinafter called the town.
That's right, so that's
So we
what-
don't need town.
Right, but from a principal perspective, when you're looking at what needs to go in a glossary and what doesn't, if it's something that's very self-evident, like town, you wouldn't put that in the glossary. But if you had budget versus annual budget, or emergency, which is another one, or stewardship, you would have that in the glossary because you're reading this from the perspective of someone who doesn't have the exposure of having read something like this.
It's almost-
Because it's a people's document.
It almost becomes more of an index than it does a glossary.
Yeah, I mean, better way
It's
to
in
put it.
town as defined in section 101.
Index might be
The
better.
reader who's not familiar with the charter would see that, and say, oh, okay, I'll go look at section 101. We'll work up something.
Yeah.
So maybe the word glossary is not the right word of this,
And then we can figure out what to call it.
yeah.
But
The
it-
index just points to where the document will find a glossary,
Right,
but
yeah.
just find it separately.
It's meant for those who don't typically read documents like this.
Yeah.
It's supposed to make it easier for them to read.
Take out ambiguity.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all good with all
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
All right,
fine.
that's great.
Yeah.
So next item on the agenda, review draft report. So there is a draft report in here of what's to be included in the report, which is some basic information, timelines and membership and all of that stuff.
Again, we're gonna have to fill this out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the last one we did would be a good first draft, updated of course, but that format has seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah.
Because the function of the report is, someone who's not paid any attention to anything you've done over 15 months. You wanna give them a report that sort of walks them through, the reader through everything you've done.
Mhm.
And, dates of your meetings, where to find the meeting minutes, and topics. And we start with the charge from the Board of Selectmen, and we put a narrative in what you did with each charge. And something you included some revisions, other things you considered, but you said, it's better for the code. Third category would be you considered, you thought, we're not doing any of that.
Mhm.
We don't want to. Not a good idea. So the report is twofold. It explains your process. Secondly, it explains the reasoning behind the recommendations that you're making. And the recommendations are an appendix in the form of the draft red line revised chart, essentially.
The one from the last time around was very nicely written for someone who just has no exposure to that. It gave me a really good
Yeah, I mean, I do think it worked well. I think
It was very well done.
I think Tom
thought so.
Cook did that. Tom Cook and, I reviewed it.
Tom did it along with Hanley Rose.
Yes.
And then input from a couple of us members. But that one was a lot more detailed than may have been prior charter revision reports, mainly because we were changing.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a significant change.
Yeah.
Right, that was a significant change, and the feeling was it had to be that detailed. Whereas this one may not need to be quite as detailed, because in that one, when a member of the public raised an objection, we addressed it.
Mhm.
Right.
And you may not need to do that this time. If there were a bunch of them, a number of people brought up open space, all right? That might need to be a little bit more detailed. A number of people brought up zoning and planning, and that was addressed by keeping zoning and planning as is. So you don't really need to get as expansive, I
Right.
wouldn't think.
I
But
sort of, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But I think what I think we need to really explain is the 4-year staggered term versus the 2. And how we decided to keep it that way, because that was the biggest discussion I think we had.
Yeah, that would require probably more narrative than a
Right.
lot
That
of
would
the other
require-
things.
And
Right.
like you
But the
said,
rest-
joining planning and zoning, that was a lot.
That was a big one.
That was a big narrative as well.
And another theme to this one will be almost like this is the sequel to the last one, because a lot of what you have done so far is to take the form of government change and sort of flesh it out in more detail.
Yes.
Made a lot of changes to the town
Clarify.
manager and the first selectman, because what you heard was that it's kind of fuzzy as to what the relationship between those two are. So it's sort of like part 2 of the change of government charter change. At least we'll draft it that way, and if you like it,
Yeah.
if not, it's your report, so you'll have the chance to make it your very own.
What goes into
The
references?
legal
Is that
documents,
just
I live for that.
general statutes, or would we put in some of the samples like Franklin's created of, history of selectmen?
That's an awesome document.
That's a good one.
That's really.
Then he has to explain
Yeah.
it.
Because there was work that you tasking me through research,
Right.
you created novel work. I created the
Yeah,
board and
yeah.
commission matrix
Right.
from the
Those are great.
beginning,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
research on comparable communities,
That was great.
and the board of selectmen
Yeah, and
research.
let's not
We
lose
have
that,
to
let's
get
make
this
it
published
appended.
somewhere.
No, I think it should be
Something like
appended, I
logic.
think it should be included in the report, because
Basis
a lot of
for
work went into it, and it
And it won't
provided
be
a lot
in
of
the
context
agenda.
for our
You really-
discussion.
You really wanna set the table for the next charter revision commission, which you'll probably all be on.
Yeah.
And she'll be chairing it again.
What
We are
That's a
moving.
volunteer.
It was enough.
Just like
You
the
will
last
never
one.
move. You will
Help
never
you.
I think I'm
Next
moving in
one.
6.5 years.
That will be nice. It'll be nice to get this
Done.
published.
Did I say that out loud?
And like the Conservation Commission fact sheet, if you want,
Jackie doesn't-
it could
Jackie
be
is
references,
still
could be
so
any of the
much-
stuff you guys discussed that.
So when we're
Point someone
making
to.
recommendations to the code, so like that information from UConn,
Yeah,
okay,
that was great.
which was great information, and the definitions of open space that the open space committee provided, I think when we're making recommendations to the board of selectmen for possible code changes, I think those documents need to be included with that, so they understand why we're recommending this, and here's the research that's been done on it.
Mhm.
I agree.
Because the only way they'll make a change is if they've got some background information.
Right.
And they don't have to do some of that legwork again. Okay.
I think at the end of this, you want a really good-looking, comprehensive package to present to the board.
All right, so next item on the agenda is the October 20th agenda to plan that, and it's time, Board of Finance, right?
Yes.
So
That could take up the whole meeting.
that will
Sure
take the
will.
entire
Will.
meeting,
It can just be one item,
Well,
yes.
unless you want the draft for
No, that will be,
We'll give you another version,
right.
you know, it'll
but-
be,
I think we can limit our conversation to the Board of Finance.
I think we should
For the
just
next
have
When you
that.
mean all of section
Yes.
800, yeah.
Yeah, because there were a lot of comments from Lisa Hebner
Yeah.
that I
And
think we need to
gotta
go
sift,
through,
yeah.
boil it down as to, okay, what are the key things that we might wanna consider?
Right.
Because there was a lot there.
And you don't need the comments from the budget sections included in this packet, correct, since you already have it in the
We
public?
have them, and we also have Bert, who's on the Board of Finance, and Paul, who's a former Board of Finance.
Yeah, you have some really
We've
good
got
brain
good
power.
context.
And there's a high likelihood the chair might be there
Lisa may be
for
there,
any clarifying
Yes.
questions.
but I think that that's what our next meeting needs to focus on, so we can wrap this whole thing up and start the whole process of finalizing and
Because our draft
submitting
report has to be completed by
February.
February.
We're on time.
very doable.
Yeah,
Yeah. That'll be a good meeting because we'll have Paul and Bert.
Yeah, because Bert will be at the next meeting, that's why we're holding off.
Yeah, he requested that.
He requested that.
I mean, as you can see, with Franklin putting together the charge and the implications to the charge, you pretty much hit everything.
All right, so do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of going home before 7:30?
Oh, wow.
We're slacking off there.
I can actually eat dinner early stuff.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
Ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings.
And celebrating milestones.
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions. And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue.
Even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open.
Continues to educate our youth and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
For generations to come.
Visit our website
Or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media.
where your town
Your schools
And your government come together.